Hi, hello everybody. This is Joe Gooden. I'm the VP of Heart Zones. Today we're going to do a webinar on funding. We have Beth Kirkpatrick, one of the first, well, probably the first physical education teacher in the world to start using heart rate sensors in her physical education class back in the 90s. We're proud to have her on to kind of tell her story and give you some tools for you to be able to find the funding. So without further ado, I'll bring on Beth, and you can go ahead and start and kind of tell us your story, Beth.
Thank you, Joe Gooden. I'm very fortunate to be a part of this fantastic movement. With this cover letter here, so what you'll do is you'll print this out, then you will make this PowerPoint presentation, and they will have the documentation in front of them. So we're going to go through this. This first page is just a cover letter. I talk about myself a little bit here about the technology needs, and there's a technology committee, but if you've never used technology, it's hard to make the presentation. So this is the first cover letter, and I do remember a superintendent in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I suppose 20 years ago, and I said, why don't you give those physical educators some of that technology money? And his response just kind of threw me. He said, well, I would hardly give technology money to people who haven't asked for it and who, if given the money, wouldn't know how to use it. So that made me think that our profession, our universities, we have to prepare this next generation of physical educators with the ability to write grants, to make presentations, to sell their programs to their communities, and to provide documentation and information. We don't have data. At the end of 12 years of physical education, other than fitness tests, show me the data. Show me the daily data that we have that tells a kid how he did in class today. We can't answer basic questions. So here's the first thing. Funding opportunities continued, and it says, what does the first 5 minutes of class time look like? We don't have a printout that shows the teacher or the student. So I'm looking for this to help with heart rate monitors, to help with the data collection, not only as our evaluation of our students, but our evaluation of us as teachers and what we are trying to deliver. Do we have a class format design? Do we know what it is? How long should we talk for the first part of class? How long should we allow activities to go on? Do we know that cardiovascular fitness is happening or not in our classes, in our play, or do we have to set time aside? And there's all sorts of things like that. So what is the first 5 minutes? What's going on? So you're making this presentation to a school board or to a foundation. You're saying, right now, I can't tell. I don't have any documentation that says the first 5 minutes is I'm doing good. The next 5, I don't know what the outcomes are, kid by kid or the class as a whole. So the question is, how active were you in physical education today? That question is unanswerable without a heart rate monitor graph like this. Nobody knows. I had 65 kids. How did I know how anybody was doing? There was nothing there to show. The most important thing, I think, for using heart rate monitors is the modernizing of the cardio test. And I am flabbergasted to see where this has gone. So if you look up here and you see the big board that Heart Zones shoots up, all you have to have is an iPad and a projection system. You can buy a projector for $250, or we have one in the gyms that I teach at or used to teach at, and where my own children go. So this big board you see is outlined with the color, which is blue and below the zone, yellow is in the zone, and red is above the zone. It also has all kinds of other numbers on it, but basically it shows the graphs of how they're doing below the zone, in the zone, and above the zone. But as a whole, as a teacher, I'm just looking up there and I'm saying, okay, are they where they should be at this time in my classes? So for cardio fitness, for the test of a 20-meter run, they now can see where they're going and when they should stop. There's a printout that every kid will get from the Heart Zones system. It's unbelievable. And this printout is the feedback you get not only for this test, which is incredible. It's basic information. Every cardio test, every day you'll have this information, but this data is also sent automatically wirelessly to the parents as the kid walks out the door, to the teacher, and to the kid. There is no time. You don't spend 2.5 hours a night anymore downloading heart rate monitors. These kids, kindergarten kids, first grade kids, I think you start the pacer at 4th grade. But you can now keep track of what everybody's doing, and the kid has the data, the parents have the data. And what's amazing about this is on every printout, it shows the average heart rate. It shows what was the highest heart rate that kid went in my class today or during this test. It also shows the minimum heart rate. This is a really big deal. It shows fit points. It shows how many calories are burned. It shows the time. It shows so many things. It shows how much time this kid spent below the zone, how much time he spent in the zone, and how much time he spent above the zone. This is remarkable. Well, here's a sample technology request form for heart zones. And they're going to ask you for how much everything is, and I think you should have the full day training for your school district. And they're going to ask you the cost and the supplier information, and does this apply to instructional, to grading, to training. I got this technology form from Miami-Dade, and then it shows user population. Well, we're one of the few places where you can spend technology money, and every kid every day will be using this technology. It's the most efficient use of technology money there ever could be. And it's an incredible thing to have for now. We're reaching outside the walls of the gym into the homes, where we're going to also be teaching and talking to parents. They're going to ask questions. Well, what does this graph mean? Well, what should the heart rate look like? We're not going to have parent-teacher conferences where we have data in front of us. It is a new world. And everybody will be talking about this, because we're going to affect not only the kids, but the parents in this program. The frequency of use. We're going to use this technology every day. And it's going to ask you a technology funding or a grant. We'll ask you to state the problem and provide the solution. Well, the lifestyle facts of our society right now are telling us that we have 40 to 50% of our class that has all sorts of problems. We have 23% of our kids who are on asthma medication. We have 20 million kids who have high blood pressure. We have an obesity crisis in this country that has affected our kids from elementary all the way through. And if a kid graduates high school without overcoming obesity, if he's obese, 28 out of 29 kids will remain obese their entire lives. We can't put these kids through a whole bunch of extra exercise. What we have to do is make sure that those kids in particular are given the conditioning that is right for them. We can't put them through exercise abuse because they're heavy. We love these kids, and their parents love them, and their grandparents love them, and we should be treating all kids as individuals. We're prescribing exercise to groups of individuals when you don't have heart rate monitors. What you should be doing is prescribing exercise to individuals in a group setting. The visual portrait is really a big deal. Additionally, we're the only class that we're responsible for addressing, assessing cardiovascular fitness. There's a battery of fitness tests, but cardiovascular is the most important one. There's no question about that. So we want the accuracy. We want to know that what we've done will be in those years and years of their school records. We have to have basic knowledge of heart health. So when we fail to really educate them, and we don't have a printout, it's very hard to educate them. You perpetuate ignorance through false testing. So this is a page on that, and I think that you look at the 20-meter test and the accountability for that. How do you know you need it? Well, without heart rate monitors, there's no possible way of knowing if any kid is going too high or low. There's no possible way. You cannot just look at their face and say, oh, they really look like they're tired or something. We need to be scientific. We took exercise phys, Kinese 1, Kinese 2 exercise physiology, physiological anatomy. We have a very strong science-based program for physical education. It's really quite powerful. And we have that background. Every single physical education major in the United States will have that background. But we have to have the ability to place a printout in their portfolios for every day they have physical education, or every day we train them in any way, shape, or form. The last thing is, does the request meet school-wide vision? Programming benefits of technology. It's just an amazing thing that we have this in the documentation. And I've been at this since 1980, and didn't know I was the first person to be using these in schools. If you were in Iowa, in a tiny town, you wouldn't think that you were the first one to use technology like this in schools. I thought Boston would have this, New York City would have this. Man, I thought every college would be teaching this. And I think now today, with the way Heart Zones, the reinvention of this, the genius of Sally Edwards, being able to put together a company like this with brilliant engineers, with Joe Gooden, with the people that we have now on this in this talented company. I am so thrilled. I think it's the best product, the best solution possible. And simplicity. One button, no chest strap, instantaneous results. You're using an iPad, which is so simple. It's a remarkable day, and we have a talented group of people at our company. So I hope I see you out and about. I hope this helps you. Give us a call. We'll help you in any way possible. We have a fabulous team here. Thanks so much.